Stone pressured, gets rid of it to a wide open R.J. Maryland, still on his feet. Maryland to the house, touchdown.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
Hampton wide open running, 30, 25, 20, 10, 5, touchdown Carolina.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Spencer Rattler wants to launch a deep one, and it is caught! Juice Wells all the way, touchdown Gamecocks! 72 yards.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Judkins up the middle, no one home for Auburn. House call, touchdown.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
This is going to be returnable for Cal. Out across the 20 and out into the open field. And all the way down the sideline. That's Odd. Jaden Odd, who's been returning kicks lately. Touchdown Cal.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
Another carry for David Martinez. Cuts it back. Touchdown number 3.
Now here's David Smoke and Paul Catalina.
All right, here we go on 365 Sports, including some updated news we'll get to in a moment when it comes to the ACC and also Florida State. And one of the reporters with that story, Ross Dellinger, will join us today in the 5 o'clock hour. We have a lot to get to, including what has been a high and low day for the Olympic team, the United States Olympic team. News on Gary Bohannon. Deion Sanders, I think maybe is taking the wrong angle when it comes to reporters asking questions who have maybe questioned the program before. Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, Jerry Jones, CeeDee Lamb, and one of the greats. We will honor him with a couple of notes. Chi-Chi Rodriguez died last night at 88, the ultimate entertainer and one hellacious golfer that he didn't get a lot of credit because he was such a showman, but that too, we'll get to that. Garrett Ross is running the mothership. Emory is on his way to Denver or Colorado.
To Denver, yeah.
On his way for a big, big deal. It's kind of like an official trip, a commitment maybe, down the road with him and somebody else, meeting the parents this weekend. Jack McKenzie is here running, of course, the entire umbrella of what we do every day. He's Paul Catalina. We kind of did this tan look or kind of off-white look today, and here on 365 Sports. So let's get the most important news, and it's not ACC and FSU. On the TexasBeefHouse.com, remember I had it stripped away from me like Reggie Bush in a Heisman Trophy about a month ago when I thought I had too large tomahawk ribeyes. I stayed the course. I finally put in a bid. I think I ended up maybe bidding against myself the last couple of dollars for what is 10 pounds of the sirloin, and I got it. I got that note on my phone, and I even talked to Samantha Duvall by text. She goes, yep, we'll be in touch. We'll send it out Monday. You'll have it by Tuesday. 10 pounds of that sirloin. Some of you, Barry, I think Kim, perhaps retired stockbroker, and a few others were also involved, so I did win. And their next one comes up at the end of August. More on that in just a moment. But I was hoping today that we could actually do a show and never mention Florida State. Seriously.
Yeah. No.
Seriously. I mean, other than, this is judges ruling this and that. But here's the story, Ross Dellinger, on mediation. A neutral mediator. And the ACC and FSU perhaps meeting next week.
This was ordered by the judge in Florida, John C. Cooper in Leon County, and he ordered them to have good faith mediation to resolve the dispute. And so this is something, nothing may come of it, but they will be negotiating, and this is where they'll be, again, in a room without a judge and maybe get some things on the table about what it could be. Ross hasn't, but Ross's nugget in this story is really interesting because while we've always said that Florida State's leaving the ACC, and I still believe that, he notes that the ESPN deal does not actually end in 2036. It technically ends in 2027, and ESPN has until February to opt in for those 9 years. And the ACC and ESPN are in active negotiation over the extension. And Jim Phillips has called those positive and productive. And if they increase the value of the deal, which Phillips says we're talking about that, which I think that's the only thing they need to be talking about is how to do this. I wonder if ESPN sees that the more that they, for lack of a better word, interfere and throw money into other conferences, that they're eventually going to be paying more than they want to for all of this. And it's going to be harder and harder for them to make a profit. So if they reinvest back into something they already have a deal in and is unhappy with it, because make no mistake, Florida State and Clemson and North Carolina are the most unhappy about it and publicly unhappy about it. But Wake Forest probably isn't jazzed either. They're not sitting around going, hey, we love this. Great. I mean, because they're already behind in their own league when it comes to finances. This puts them further behind nationally and makes it harder for them to do the things that they want to do.
So now you're trying to make like Florida State's taking all the bullets?
No. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying that, yeah, they're out there being mad about it, but the ones who want to stay in the conference aren't happy about their money either.
It would be like if Oklahoma, Texas were still a part of the Big 12, they're gone. Bye. They're gone, and they're happy. Big 12 now. But when they were here, if the Big 12 would have been involved in any kind of discussion or any kind of legal battle, you know, with all due respect, somebody at Baylor or Texas Tech or whoever could have said something. But if it would have been somebody from Texas and Oklahoma, it would have gotten more traction.
And what I'm saying is, you know, they're maybe even more scared than a school like Florida State or Clemson, because Florida State and Clemson have more options if they're unfettered than would a school like Boston College or even Syracuse or Pitt, even though they have great traditions in a lot of sports. But, you know, Pitt's got to be sitting there going, yeah, we don't like that these other schools are making $50 million more than us. We'd like to close that gap too, but they don't have the option, and they also don't have the clout. I'm not saying that they would be doing this or what Florida State or Clemson is doing is right. What I'm saying is they all would want more money, right? So,
but let's get back to what's happening.
The point being, because I think we were not on the same track there, but could Florida State and Clemson stay if ESPN reinvest into the league and make them happy? Then, yeah, maybe that happens.
Yep.
Maybe that happens. Maybe they get that. Now, I do think that when it comes down to being too far gone, Florida State is just right there. But if all of a sudden you came to them and said, okay, well, we can't get you $80 million a year, but we can get you 72, then they'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's something.
Well, so if it leads to ESPN going more in, that's great. And if it doesn't, then they got to figure out, okay, how are we going to divorce and move on, and when is that going to happen, and what is FSU if they do? Oh, if they do leave. So that's an updated nugget. Mediation coming up next week between the ACC and FSU. Here's a note that I saw on my timeline last night. Mitch Harper covers BYU for KSL Sports in Provo. Quarterbacks Gary Bohannon, Jake Retzlaff continue to split first and second team reps. No one, on one of Bohannon's drives with the second team, had two highlight-worthy passes to freshman receivers Taya Nakua and Cody Hagan. Also had a 45-yard run, by the way, during their, I don't know if it was a scrimmage or just a regular practice. And so Mitch Harper will join us today at just after 4 to discuss that competition at BYU.
Yeah, I hope Gary wins the job. I really, this is his last chance to make that kind of a move and do those things. And there's not a better teammate in the world than Gary Bohannon. There's not. He's a fantastic teammate. He's a guy who can lead a team, and he's limited a little bit in even though he's super athletic, he's limited in his passing somewhat, but that doesn't mean he can't win a conference title as a quarterback, because we've seen him do that. It's just about matching him up and getting the people around him to help. So we'll see. I hope he makes it, and I hope that means good things for BYU because, again, as a character guy goes and a leader goes, that's someone you'd want leading your football team. If they can get the X's and O's worked out with them, I think that could be productive for them.
No, he could maybe make others around him play even better. So can like Patrick Mahomes. I get that, but he does have that kind of ability for those around him that want to play for him even more. Not that they're upset or don't like the guy who's also in the competition. I don't know that. So I want to get into Deion Sanders in Colorado. He had a press conference. We'll get to some of the audio, a couple of different pieces of audio. Sean Keeler's been a guest on this show. We've even had Colorado fans who have contacted us and said, man, why the hell are you having him on to talk Colorado? He hates them. We've also had others who follow or are analysts or a part of Colorado as far as their coverage, and none of them quite as edgy as Sean Keeler. He's a columnist. Some of the best. We have one, Barry Trammell, who covers Oklahoma and Oklahoma State now with the Tulsa World, used to be with the Daily Oklahoman, etc. Columnists are edgy. Randy Galloway was edgy. Others have been edgy. That's what they do. And so here is Deion Sanders. Sean Keeler's at a press conference. And this is like a minute or so, minute and a half, minute 20. Listen to the back and forth. And then we'll discuss it, and then we'll go to another clip in the same press conference, and we'll have discussions on this. Here we go.
The Denver Post. Happy summer, my man.
You don't like us, man. Why do you do this to yourself?
Come on.
You don't like us.
Mark likes me, by the way.
Huh?
Yeah. Mark said he likes me.
No,
so
but
that's
you don't. Why do you do this, though?
No, sorry. Two-parter if I could.
No, I'm serious. Why do you do this? Like, you don't. Like, why do you do this?
No, it's not about that. Football question.
No, why do you do this? Like, it would be hard for me to really engage in someone I don't like or something I don't like. I'm just asking why. Like, why?
Gotta pay
What
the bills,
did I do?
You didn't do anything. It's not about that. But this is
But
a football
why?
question.
I'm asking you why.
Yeah, you can answer, but that's
Okay,
not
answer me.
Because
Because you want me to answer you. So
yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fair.
Why?
Why? Because I have
Give
questions.
me your why.
What's your why? What do you want to know?
Why do you always on attack? Like, what did we do?
Where am I on attack today? Where am I on attack?
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you opportunities to be on attack. But I'm asking you why. Like, what does it do for you? Like, what happened?
It's not about me.
But what happened to get you like this?
It's a good question.
No, I'm serious. Because I want to help. No, I'm serious. I want to help. Because it's not normal.
We can talk about that.
Okay.
Can I ask you a football question?
No.
Seriously.
No, we'll talk about that. When we talk about that, I'll talk about that with you.
Can we ask you a football question, please?
When I talk about that, we talk about that. We can talk about that. I have a question over here. Let's go.
All right, that's he and Sean Keeler. I think it would be good to then go to the next audio clip. This is a local CBS reporter, and I guess something nationally with CBS was either reported on or something about Colorado and maybe Deion. And here's his response to a local reporter, a CBS reporter, who even tried to clarify, we're the local CBS affiliate. This is in the press conference.
That's the end of that question, I guess. Next guy.
Eric Christensen with CBS Sports Colorado.
CBS,
Tyler.
I'm not doing nothing with CBS. Next question.
Joe Rigo, Mile High
Ain't got nothing to do with
Vegas.
you. It's above that. Ain't got nothing to do with you. I got love for you. I appreciate you, respect you. Ain't got nothing to do with you. They know what they did.
I'm here in Denver, not national.
You are who you are. CBS is CBS.
All right.
Joe
Ain't got
Rigo, Mile
nothing
High
to do with
Split.
you. I respect you. That's why I told you that. I'm looking you in the eye as a man. I respect you. I got love for you. But what they did was foul.
Okay, so that's a local CBS reporter. He tried to clarify that, and Deion, I think, at first did not quite know the difference and then acknowledges the difference. Said it had nothing against the young man who asked the question. I think I've been pretty clear. I love Deion. Not love Deion, but I love watching him. I have enjoyed what he's brought, the energy to college football since the move. Even before that with Jackson State, there's something about the way he talks. I enjoy the way his voice, a little bit of that Southern in it, and yet I actually think he's sometimes not misunderstood. He is a disciplinarian, but then what happened was there's a story over the weekend or whatever that mentioned from Athlons that the locker room's crazy and all that. You've seen some of those stories pop up. I really like him. I hope he's very successful, except in Lincoln, and then maybe a game or two elsewhere. But I don't think that's the way you do it. I think you do that prior to, because I have had at times back and forth when covering Baylor or whatever, where there might be off to the side, not to shut you down, not to keep you or neuter you, but to just kind of like, what's going on here? And it's been helpful for both sides. But I don't think this is the way you do it. I think he should have had, or media relations, Curtis Snyder and all them, could have set this up and prevented that, because that wasted time in the press conference.
It did. And like part of it, I'm kind of surprised that Deion doesn't know the difference in the media levels because he used to work in the media. Like, and maybe it's something when you're Deion Sanders, you don't need to pick up. Like, it doesn't matter to you because you roll in. I mean, you're the star of the show, and that's how it is. And again, that guy didn't do anything, and he can't control what CBS does. Just like, I mean, and believe me, we had the battle when we were on an ESPN affiliate that wasn't owned by ESPN, but we're an ESPN affiliate, and they would do something like run a story on Colin Kaepernick, and then we get a bunch of people going, well, I don't agree with what you guys did. And I'm like, well, we didn't do anything.
No,
like
we were a local affiliate, not even owned by ESPN, but had their programming. You're right.
Yeah, we didn't do anything, so I don't know what you're talking about. And CBS Sports Colorado may not even be an 0-0. I have no idea. Like the owned and operated is what it's called. So I have no idea. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But going to Sean Keeler, I respect the way that he handled it, at least not like yelling at him. He was very, I mean, it was very like.
Neither one of them yelled.
I thought it was very respectful on both sides. It's just one of those things that for everybody else in the room, it's awkward and weird. And Deion, if he's going to talk to him, just should say, hey, Sean, can I talk to you? Can we set up something after the press conference and then answer the question and then maybe go.
Which is kind of what in the end they might have decided to do, whether that happens or not. I don't know.
That should happen. And Deion felt like he wanted to. He's like, I'm trying to find out what happened. Why? Because Colorado fans and clearly the Colorado staff feel like Sean's mad about something. Whether that's true or not, I mean, who knows?
You know what, though? Sean Keeler just may not like how things are going with Colorado. He might be questioning how they're doing it, and he has a right to do that. He's a columnist, a beat reporter, someone who writes on a message board, do a talk show. I hope that Deion will take a deep breath, and so will. And the local CBS reporter may have gotten caught up in shrapnel here. No matter what the story was that angered, that Deion didn't like, that was foul. But I think this can be handled. Look, I know this. I'll never forget. I was covering the Cowboys at a training camp, and I think this is back even well before I came here in the day, maybe in San Antonio, and there was a local television reporter out of Tyler that asked a question to Bill Parcells when he was at the time the head coach, and it was we didn't have a lot of time. Some head coaches are going to give you more time than others. Art Briles would give me 3 minutes and then start looking at his clock. Matt Rule would give me 18 to 20. Jim Grobe, 15. Dave Aranda, because I'll tell you, if you don't tell me to shut it down, I'm going to keep talking, asking questions, because to me it's access that otherwise we pass on to you. But Brad Sham got kind of upset about this one question that took away from asking football questions to Bill Parcells during a training camp. And I think he may have gone up to the young man later and said, listen, there's a time and place for that. Usually right after practice is more of X's and O's for sure. And sometimes in those daily or whatever type settings, you might be able to get off to an offbeat or possibly human interest question. But he was trying to teach the young reporter, hey, we only have a few minutes with him. Let's not waste it on whether or not you like the buffet at training camp.
I can tell you that the only time that I've ever gone over to another reporter and said something like that was I was at an Art Briles press conference in East Texas when he took that high school job, which for the life of me, and my apologies, I cannot remember the town.
Mount Vernon, Texas, home of Don Meredith.
Oh, gosh, I should know it because of Danny Don, but Mount Vernon. And we probably had a couple more minutes left in the press conference, and this reporter asked a very snarky question, and it kind of ended the press conference because it made it awkward. And I knew her, and I went over, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why did you do that to us? And she's like, what? I thought it was a fair question. I'm like, one, it wasn't. Two, we all drove out here 3 hours for this. And we only drove these 3 hours for this 30 minutes that we're going to have with Art Briles, Lynx Hawthorne, like all these people that we know are here to get comments on this. And you shortened the time with Briles, which, believe me, was going to be short anyway.
Yep.
And we came out here all this way for this. We're missing things. We're doing all that. And then you probably took 5 to 7 minutes away from us because of that. And then she tried to do it again with Matt Rule 3 weeks later. And it was super upsetting. So, yeah, press conferences are not the time for your personal mission.
No, and here's another thing now.
Yeah.
If you're a local television reporter at Cowboys camp or even a guy who's a Dallas TV station reporter, you might be doing a feature on CeeDee Lamb. You couldn't do it now because he's not there. But if you want to do a feature on a guy from a smaller market or like Tyler or Waco or whatever, and you're doing a feature on somebody that is from where they're from, where you are, and you're asking a question specifically about a player, there's also a time and a place for that. So I just hope that they get that cleared up because that's a waste of time. And I wish both of them, I hope they do. Sean, I think from when I've talked to him, he's kind of a happy-go-lucky guy, but he has an opinion. He has a right to an opinion. So does Dion, and Dion called him out for what he thought was maybe a little bit over the edge. I hope they do figure it out. How about this one? Michigan is going to honor Jim Harbaugh, who is now on this, 4-year show cause or whatever it is, for all the happened during COVID. Michigan's going to bring him back for the opening game August 31st as the honorary captain for Fresno State. In other words, hey, NCAA. And see, they haven't even hammered anybody yet, except the thing with Harbaugh. This is very dangerous, even with the NCAA having a couple of nut sacks that have been cut open.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Part of me is like, Michigan, what are you doing? And then part of me is like, okay, go, you be you, Michigan. Just go ahead and keep thumbing your nose. He wanted the first national championship they've had in almost 30 years.
Since 97.
Since 97. Yep. So 27 years, he won the first national championship. He's an alum. All these things. Go ahead, get it out of the way, thumb your nose at the NCAA. You've kind of been doing it anyway. So it's just, given all that's happened. And if I'm Michigan, I'm also mad that you're like, okay, so you're gonna punish a guy and make us look bad. And look, all the things that they, like some of those things in there about the $100 Instagram thing or the golf tournament donation are the stupidest things in the world. And if I were the NCAA, I would not have even mentioned it. I'd have been like, you know what? Like, let's just leave this stuff out.
Yeah, there we are with
the
that.
COVID recruiting, fine. Focus on that because that was something that you'd certainly honed in on, and there's other people that you're investigating that have gotten in trouble for that. But to go like, you know what, Jim Harbaugh, we don't want you back. And if you do come back, 4 years, they're gonna have a show cause penalty. And he's like, I'm with the friggin' Chargers now. What do you think I'm coming back? No.
Quick note on the Cowboys today. Dak Prescott or Jerry Jones, neither one were at practice. It was a lot of they're gonna, oh my God. Apparently Dak's just with a rest day with that ankle that time flares up. He had a boot, about 3 weeks ago that people freaked out and he was walking onto a dock towards a boat. Jerry Jones told reporters after yesterday's practice, I don't have any urgency to get it done when it comes to signing CeeDee Lamb. Here is CeeDee Lamb's response. Laugh out loud. This is part of Jerry loves this. You know what? He loves this. He loves that they're asking him about Dak. He loves that they're asking him about CD. He loves that they're asking him about Micah. He loves this. But to say that he has I don't have any urgency, that's not true because I guarantee you last night there were talks about how they're going to get it done and with his agent or Stephen Jones or Stephen with the agent. But I thought that was cool of CeeDee Lamb with the laugh out loud.
Yeah. Jerry did this with Zeke a couple of years ago. Zeke who, these are kind of Jerry's negotiating ploys. And I think they're working less and less. And it still doesn't change the fact that he could have gotten all of this done a long time ago. It doesn't.
But then, Paul, then there would be no interest other than the fact that, yes, the Cowboys are going to get interest even if it's boring and they're 1-16. But this allows, like that mosquito bite that you can't quite, or a pimple that won't go away, or some kind of poison ivy. For him, it's a positive.
He's addicted.
Yeah,
he's addicted to the rush, and that's where it gets it. And I was doing a podcast today, Cowboys podcast that I'm relaunching, and I'll let you know when it's like ready to go. All the people watching, but one of the things we talked about is. You and I know this. Jerry wants to win, and he wants to win very, very badly. He wants to have another Super Bowl really bad. The problem is that Jerry only wants to win when everybody says, thank God for Jerry for making all these decisions, because no matter what the relationship is with Jimmy now that he's in the Ring of Honor and all that stuff, it still chaps Jerry's ass that people go, yeah, but that was Jimmy.
No,
it still
even to this day, yeah. All right, we have other news about 365 Sports, SicEm365.com, and our coverage as we head into football season. We'll get to that. Coming up, it's Barry Trammell with the Daily Oklahoman, and then they tried that new online deal that just got shredded and fell apart. He's now at the Tulsa World, still doing what he does, which is closer to Oklahoma State, covering the Cowboys, the Big 12, but also, of course, yes, Oklahoma and the SEC. Also today, I mentioned Mitch Harper on BYU and their quarterback competition. Grayson Grundhafer today at 3:45. Jimmy Rogers, how about this one? The head coach of two-time national champions South Dakota State. He will join us today in the 4 o'clock hour. Ross Dellinger, Roger Wallace on the UT running back room, and Paul's Top 5 on this beautiful Friday. He actually sprinkled a minute ago, and this is 365 Sports. Waco Custom Marketplace. This is what they have available until 6 o'clock tonight, and also while they're open most of the day tomorrow. T-bone and porterhouse steaks at $12.50 a pound and $13 a pound. A 2-pound bag of peeled and deveined shrimp at $11. By the way, if I get shrimp, I get it peeled and deveined. Even if you go to their butcher shop, and a lot of times the shrimp is not frozen, but if it's frozen, man, you run it under a little, like a strainer, a little bit of water, cool water. It's easy to pull off rather than digging through all that and having to devein it and take off the shell. It tastes the same. Also, chicken thighs for $2.50 a pound. Fresh salmon. It is delicious salmon. At $11.99 a pound. I made some for Craig the other day. And I don't really cook a lot of fish other than shrimp. Tri-tip at $5.20 a pound. Also, your home, if you want, for barbecue, tailgating, pellet fuel, charcoal, what you need when it comes to a smoker, a grill, and a tailgate. And, of course, all of the amenities, including cold beer and cold wine. Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Get ready, Baylor fans. The ultimate game weekend experience awaits you at the Baylor Club. Kick off your weekend with our Friday Night Live pep rally. With live entertainment and special appearances from the Baylor Spirit Squad, it's the perfect way to start your game weekend with a roar. On Saturdays, don't miss our Knox Hall tailgate. Enjoy delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and great company as you gear up for the big game. And after the weekend's excitement, wrap it all up with our famous Bear brunches on Sundays. Don't wait. Make your game weekends legendary with the Baylor Club membership today.
Make this the summer of Ram at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive home in a 2025 Ram 1500 Lone Star for just 2.9% for 72 months with no payments for 90 days. Plus, first responders get an extra $500 off at Allen Samuels.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
At Genco, our goal is to build long-lasting relationships while providing complete financial solutions for each step of life's journey. Our members enjoy fewer fees, lower rates on loans of all types, and higher yields on a wide variety of savings options. That's just a small part of the credit union difference. Visit Genco online, on Facebook, or come by one of our 5 locations today. Apply online for membership. Genco FCU, NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
All right, here we go. 365 Sports with Hall of Fame columnist Barry Trammell, the Tulsa World, covering Oklahoma, the state, and also both the conferences attached with Oklahoma now in the SEC, Oklahoma State in the Big 12. Barry, thanks for your time. What we've discussed as far as where Oklahoma is entering the SEC, and I saw one of your columns about the trenches in the SEC. When I've asked Dave Aranda the difference in the Big 12 and the SEC, even the year that Beta was really good, he mentioned those guys on the defensive line. Oklahoma's had a few of those, but is that what you think might be their first problem?
Well, that's what everybody's always said is the difference. You know, when Texas joined the SEC or jumped to the SEC with Oklahoma as well, I asked Chris Del Conte, hey, what are you guys doing to get ready for this? And he said, I talked with Steve Sarkisian, other people, and he said, we got to get bigger on the line, particularly the defensive line. It's just a massive conference in terms of player size, and that's Texas, for crying out loud. So I do think there is a difference, like just in body style in the SEC compared to the Big 12. I actually think this is pretty good timing for Oklahoma. They've sort of rectified some of their defensive deficiencies under Brent Venables. Offense isn't as powerful, but they've done a nice job. I don't think they're big enough, but I think they're getting there. So I don't think that's necessarily. I actually think they got a pretty good team and will fare pretty well in the SEC this first year. It's just the schedule is a killer. I mean, if they had Missouri's schedule or Texas' schedule, I think you'd clearly pencil in Oklahoma as a playoff team. But they play 6 conference games against teams ranked in the top 15, and that's just a killer.
Yeah, the only schedule that's tougher in that league is Florida's, who, again, did something to Greg Sankey somewhere that maybe we'll find out about one day because that was vengeful. On Oklahoma's part, last year it was kind of the depth that they just didn't have, that old-school Oklahoma Sooner depth. Do you think they have that now, maybe not, like you said, not size-wise, but where one injury is not going to derail a game or two, like it did in the first couple of years of Brent Venables?
Yeah, now that's where on the defensive line, they're probably not as deep as they need to be, but they're not bad, and the linebacker and secondary's gotten a lot more depth on it. It's crazy, but the OU defense might be better than the OU offense. Probably is. So the offensive line, we don't know if they have any depth. We don't know if they have any frontline guys. I mean, it's a remade offensive line, heavy on the portal. That's going to be a big question mark. Elsewhere, they've got pretty good depth. They've even got a backup quarterback who's quarterbacked a bunch of games for Texas and Nebraska, Casey Thompson. So, you know, they've got pretty good depth everywhere except that offensive line and maybe the defensive line. But, you know, the truth is I think Texas is a little bit in the same boat. They don't really know exactly what they're in for. They think they're going to be able to hold up, and I believe they are. I think sometimes SEC prowess is overrated, but it is a good conference. It is the best conference. It's a tough conference, especially when the schedule doesn't break your way. But I think Sooners and Longhorns will be able to acquit themselves fairly well.
Yeah, there's a reason why Oklahoma's been good other than Snellenberger and John Blake and maybe a couple of other years, even Venables' first year. They've been good for like 100 years. They're going to continue to be good. Might have to, like you said, react accordingly along the way. So Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy. Here we are. You have Utah, K-State, like 1 and 2, whatever it is. Kansas getting a lot of love. Oklahoma State's in that conversation. Do you think, based on the consistency and how good he has been, that Mike Gundy gets enough credit?
You know what? I actually think he does outside the state of Oklahoma, and I'm not sure about the state of Texas. You guys would know more about that than me. But my impression is Gundy's overshadowed in his own state by that Oklahoma monster. You know, he doesn't have a great record against the Sooners. I think he's 14-5. Is that right? I think he's 14-5 against OU. No. 2 of those were Les Miles. So I meant 5-14, but I think he's 3-16. I think he's 3-16 in Bedlam. So that hangs around his neck like a millstone. But around the nation, people don't think of OU dominating OSU in Bedlam. They just think, what a great game, because it's often a thriller. It's been game day 4 times, I think, in the last 12, 13 years. So it's really, Gundy has elevated the program nationally, and I think gets a lot of credit and he's got a lot of status around the nation, just not sometimes in his own state.
Barry Trammell with us, the Tulsa World with 365 Sports.
Barry, Alan Bowman is old enough to where I'm sure he has conversations about homeowners insurance and, where the best chiropractors are. And he's the quarterback again. He's not been healthy all through a year except for last year. How do you feel about their quarterback depth behind him should the injury bug jump up and bite them again?
Well, it's unproven. They got a third-year guy who started 4 games over the last 2 years, Garrett Rangel. He's been okay, nothing special. They've got a promising second-year guy, Zane Flores, who looks really good, maybe the quarterback of the future, but you really don't know. So they don't, it's untested. Bowman is, I don't know if he's 24 yet, but he's about to be, or, he's a 7th-year guy. So if he's not 24, he ought to be. And the strange thing is he's surrounded by a bunch of old guys. On his offensive line are 4 6th-year guys and a 5th-year guy and a 4th-year transfer from Arizona State. It's one of the oldest teams in America. The offensive line average age of the guys that are going to play is 23.6. So this is an old team. He's not even the only 7th-year guy on the team. You got a linebacker, Justin Wright, who is a 7th-year guy too. So Bowman's seen it all. Bowman is old enough. He actually quarterbacked a game against Kyler Murray back in the Tech OU days of 2018. So that's how old. That's how old Alan Bowman is. He's a good, solid quarterback. He's not special. He's not fantastic, but he might be what this team needs. With Ollie Gordon running the ball, they just need a guy that can throw some passes and not throw the ball to the other team. Bowman is great at not taking sacks. He occasionally throws picks. I don't recommend that this year, but so far, he's done a good job, and he stays healthy. Last season by getting rid of the ball, I assume he's going to do the same thing.
Barry, did you ever find out on the Texas-Oklahoma story 3 summers ago in 2021, who actually made the first contact with the SEC? Was it Oklahoma, but they knew they needed Texas to go with them, or was it Texas and they also wanted to make sure they didn't take all the fall, which they ended up pretty much doing anyway, and they wanted Oklahoma to go with them, knowing that both had to go together?
I do not know. I've seen enough reports and speculation from people I trust that say it was Texas. Texas had more reason to go. OU went for financial reasons. Texas went for political reasons. The Longhorns, were tired of the Aggies having sort of the status of the SEC. Texas football wasn't going great, as we know, since A&M joined the SEC. Not that A&M was knocking it dead. OU went for financial reasons, worried about the Big 12's future payouts. So they went for different reasons, but I don't think they wanted to go alone. I think they wanted to go together. And I do think it was a collaboration. I don't know that Texas set it up and then said, hey, we got this deal for you, or the opposite. I think they talked to each other before they talked to Greg Sankey, is my guess. So I think they were partners completely, but I suspect it was more Texas's idea. This was actually, in many ways, this was the golden era of Oklahoma sports these last 10 years in the Big 12. I mean, football was great. They made 4 of the last 6 playoffs. Or at the time they made the decision, OU had made 4 of the last 6 college football playoffs. They had won 6 conference titles in a row in football. Basketball was going strong with Lon Kruger. He ended up having he had just retired, but it was going strong. They hired a good young coach. Everybody thinks the world of Porter Moser. Softball was dominating. Women's gymnastics was winning national titles. Baseball was good and solid, and ended up going to the College World Series championship game a year later. So this was the golden era of Oklahoma sports. If you look at everything, and yet they wanted to go. So I think Texas probably had more reason to go than Oklahoma, though.
Barry, if I put you on the spot and said Big 12 champion right now in what is likely to be the most competitive league in college football, who would you say?
Well, listen, I have committed the high crime in predictions of giving duplicit answers on that question. I did Jenny Carlson's video podcast 2 weeks in a row. I'm off and on with her, and she ended up asking me who's going to win the Big 12. She asked me who's going to win the Big 12 one week, and the next week we talked about who in the Big 12 is going to make a run in the playoffs or whatever. I ended up picking 2 different teams. Not because I meant to. I just forgot because I can't keep it straight. I literally have no idea. One problem we've got is they made the schedule pretty equitable in the Big 12, right? In the SEC, it's so one-sided for some schools and easy for the other. Not the way it is in the Big 12. Other than Kansas has it pretty easy. So if you like dark horses, Kansas is a good pick. If you like really dark horses, go with Central Florida. KJ Jefferson with Gus Malzahn is borderline unfair. So I think that's some of the dark horses. But I do think Utah, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State should be the 3 favorites. They've done the most in recent years, and they got a lot back. So those are your 3 favorites. I think I picked Utah that first time with Jenny, and then I picked K-State. So why don't I just go OSU this time?
No, there you go. That way you have a chance to, if 3 of them win, you have a chance to be right. You can say, I know, I picked it on that show in Texas. So you're good. Barry, thanks for your time. Appreciate your time. I know you love football season. If you don't mind, one more follow-up, though. Deion, I don't know if you saw this, and I like him. I do. There's some things I wish he wouldn't do, but that's his life. He can do what he wants. But he had a press conference, and he kind of challenged the reporter, a columnist, which is you've been that way. You've been one forever, 40-something years, whatever, about why did you do this? You don't like us or whatever. It's one of those things you wish they could have maybe gone off to the side, which maybe they're going to do. What would you have done in that situation had you been questioned like that?
Well, I don't know. He sort of did that in Vegas at Big 12 Media Days. Same general thing, maybe not as confrontational. I find Dion almost, I don't know, I don't want to use the wrong word, but he seems to have a personality disorder. He can be so charming for long stretches, and then all of a sudden, the world's against me and everybody hates me, and that's okay because we're going to do great. And it's just so off-putting when he's got everybody on his side. So, I don't know. I've dealt with, lots of situations, Russell Westbrook foremost among them, and just letting it roll off my back is the best way to go, I think. But with Dion, I just, I don't know what his deal is. I'm impressed by the excitement he's brought to Colorado because I've sort of followed him because, I've been covering him since 1980, 1979. Chuck Fairbanks went up there and had 3 disastrous years. I remember press conference with Chuck Fairbanks when he came down to Owen Field for a game in 1979. But I don't know that he's building a solid program. It does not look to me like this is a stable thing, what he's putting together. I'm not convinced he's going to be here next year. This looks like a platform for his sons is what Colorado football looks like to me. So I would not, if I was a writer in the Boulder market, I would be happy he was there, but I would not be counting on him being there for long.
Barry, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend and football season. We'll have you on again down the road. Barry Trammell from the Tulsa World. 40, I think he said 6, 7, or 8 years he's been in the business covering college football and the state of Oklahoma.
By the way, if I put his picture up with 4 other pictures and I said, find the sports writer.
No, there's no.
9 out of 10 people would get him on the first try.
Yeah, no question. Even if it was 4 guys that were, no question. When we come back, Grayson Grundhafer, part of our SicEm365.com umbrella, recruiting analyst and football analyst and more. That's next. This is 365 Sports. Ideal. MRI.com. I have seen them, been inside their art, state-of-the-art image machine. And I might do it again sometime around the corner once I get everything set up for football season and get everything together for the broadcast and programming and shows and all of that. There's a lot to do. Sponsorships, which are great. Because, I had that injection in my lower back in April, and it worked. And they always do. But I still kind of feel like there's some arthritis or something going on in part of my right hip. I've been told that it's not any kind of it's not like degenerative. There's nothing displaced. But I think I'm going to go do that. For $497 to get an answer, the MRI that I have on my hip is from a couple of years ago. And even though that's clear as a whistle and doctors can read off of that, I just want to maybe get one more look. And for $497, my goodness, it's worth it. The average is $1,100, and it's right here in the Waco area, off I-35 in the Central Texas marketplace. And their imaging machine will get me what I need and what a doctor needs to look at. So perhaps there's maybe even if it's a prescription or maybe some sort of physical therapy or maybe something a little bit more severe, I can get it done. It's not as bad as it was before, but I know that I can get the answer at idealmri.com.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoke. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon wrap fillets, sirloin steaks, bone-in ribeyes, boneless ribeyes, and even prime rib. Cut specifically the way you want, the thickness that you want. They're all delicious. They have Norwegian salmon, mahi-mahi, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey, variety of cheese, and several options of sausage links, and even regular jalapeno or cheese snack sticks, fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, and ground beef, marinated beef or chicken fajitas, and always large briskets and tri-tip available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and tradition continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, a full-service butcher shop and bakery, open Monday through Saturday. The Bauer family, Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions IT success guaranteed.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
365 Sports around the corner. We will hear from Jimmy Rogers at 425, who's the head coach of two-time national champion South Dakota State, and has longtime assistant on that staff as they have become unbelievable and dominating FCS of late. And he'll join us at 425. Ross Dellinger in an hour. More on that ACC mediation coming up around the corner with Florida State. Grayson Grundhafer joins us, 365 Sports recruiting analyst, football analyst, and also co-host with Craig of the Bearcast, and joins us on 365 Sports. Grayson, what was your reaction when you saw the T-shirts last, what was it, Thursday, about we pay players based on what Dave Aranda told us at Big 12 Media Days in Vegas?
I mean, I think it just adds more confirmation to what we already knew. I also think it's one of those things that, I think you just lean into it, right? And that's kind of what I think Baylor is doing. And I really like that, and I can appreciate that. I mean, this was a program that felt so far behind when it came to NIL and especially implementing NIL, not so much just the resources of it. It took them time, and as we saw with Dave Aranda, he was very open and honest about it. And now I think you've seen, and everyone has seen, that they've turned a corner in that regard. And now they're at a point where, hey, you know what? Let's just lean into it. Got all this momentum right now. Might as well continue to kind of build on that. And that's what they're doing. And I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I think it's a cool wrinkle that they added, and definitely adds to kind of the swagger and the momentum that I think the staff is trying to get back.
This is a segment, Grayson Grundhafer, with brought to you by Richard Carr Motors, Baylor Bear Hotline. Paul?
Grayson, it's not just 2025 that's going well for Baylor. 2026 looks like it's rounding out to be a productive recruiting class as well. Tell us about the quarterback that they just got a commitment from.
Yeah, a really nice addition with Quinn Murphy out of Argyle Liberty Christian. He was actually at Austin Regents his first 2 years of varsity football. And now he'll be moving up to a Liberty Christian this year to be coached by Jason Witten there at that program. So that's going to be really, I think, fun to see. That's a very loaded team, and he's going to have the opportunity to put up a lot of stats. But he becomes commit number 3 in the 2026 class, and they're now ranked, I think last I looked, they're number 11, I think, in the 2026 class ranking with him, Rylan Morris, and Davis Penn, the 2 running backs out of Honey Grove and South Lake Carroll. But as far as Quinn goes, this is a really good quarterback, guys. And I think he's one of those guys that's very underrated at the moment, especially for the kind of offer list that he has. I mean, you got offers from Miami, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Houston, Louisville, Michigan, NC State, Missouri, a lot of really good programs in there. And I think the most interesting thing for me when I kind of see that offer list is that, he went and visited a lot of these schools, and he went and talked to the coaches there and camped at some of these schools, and then was offered after that. So this wasn't just him getting offers based solely on film. This was one of those things where I think for me, when I look at it and I go, okay, so what does this offer list really mean? I think it means that it's a full-on confirmation of kind of what they're building and what kind of he's working towards. And so I think I really like the offer list. I really like the stats, and he's a guy that's put up some huge numbers, but I think people will push back on the competition level and things like that. So it's kind of one of those things where you look at the numbers and they might be deceiving a little bit, but I think in general, he's a really good quarterback with a lot of great attributes, and I think those are really shown by the fact that he has such an elite offer list.
When will they name a starting quarterback?
I think your guess is probably as good as mine at this point. I mean, it's one of those things where, you felt like they would probably name one within a couple weeks of fall camp starting, because Dave Randa kind of mentioned that was a possibility. But I think now it just feels like you might as well just wait until the first week of the season and that first depth chart comes out, because there's not really a huge advantage in doing it right now. And so it's become one of those situations where it could take a really long time. We could wake up one morning and they post, some sort of video or graphic about it. It's just one of those things where I think it kind of is at a point now where there's really no point in naming it early. So I could see them taking a little bit more time, and that'll be really interesting to watch. So I still think Daquan Finn is going to end up being the guy. But, this thing has continued to drag on for a while.
Grayson, what do you think is the next phase in the 2026 class or maybe 2025 that you see coming?
Oh, that's a good question, because I actually talked to Quinn Murphy for a while after he committed to Baylor, and he mentioned that he's really going after some of the guys in this 2026 class, and I felt like he made a really good I think comment just about the simple fact that the entire 2026 class sees what the 2025 class is doing, but he wants to be better than that. And he wants to be a leader in the 2026 class, and he wants that class to really build off the 2025 one and be better. His exact quote was, "They set the standard, and now we have to break that. There's no reason why we can't do that." And so he's really set on that. I think there's a few guys in the class that would make a lot of sense if Baylor could land, such as London Smith, who's right there in Waco, a wide receiver prospect. Braden Robinson, who's at Red Oak, so he's teammates with Taz Williams. Those two guys make a lot of sense and would really continue to build on the momentum that Baylor has, as those are 2 4-star receivers that could join a 4-star quarterback and 2 4-star running backs, which would be quite the start to a class if they were able to accomplish that.
London Smith's an interesting note. You and I spoke about this, I think maybe even last week, about he's among the top players for the class of 2026, but sometimes there are games played when it comes to who is committed to whom and how they get rated. How good a player is he? Because his dad was a hell of a player, Rodney, too.
I mean, I think he's a really good player, and he's a guy that's kind of, I think in a lot of ways changed kind of the culture there at university. I think he's a really, really interesting prospect. He put up some really good numbers in a decent offense, but I wouldn't call it, the best offense or anything along those lines. And he really stood out in that. And so I think London's a great player. I don't quite understand why his ranking has gone down. I think, maybe it's about, new guys getting ranked and new guys standing out and less to do with, him. But it is an interesting one to definitely keep an eye on. But he's one that, Baylor, I think, really needs to find a way to land him because once again, getting kids that have, Baylor ties and are right in the area. Baylor hasn't done an amazing job with that. They've had a few here and there that they've been able to land, and Jackson Blackwell is the most recent one. But I think he would be a really, really big one. They've been recruiting him really hard for a long time.
Grayson, tell us about the new podcast.
Right. So Inside Baylor Sports, Colt Barber and I are going to be running that podcast. It's every weekday. There will be a new podcast, probably somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. Our goal is we're going to have coaches, players on. We're going to have former players, just kind of a variety of topics. We're going to talk about every sport to some degree and really kind of, I think, give people another perspective of kind of where Baylor sports is at and where it's going. And I think it's nice because, while it is attached to Baylor athletics as a whole, we also have, that Sikkim 365 component where, Colt and I have been covering all these things so extensively. So I think we can add a very different opinion to the podcast. But I'm super excited about it because I think this merging of Baylor athletics and Sikkim 365 is going to do really, really great things for the entire Baylor community. And that's the goal.
Grayson, thank you very much. Good luck with all the latest when it comes to commit. You got the quarterback. We mentioned that earlier in the week. Grayson Grundhafer, 365 Sports, with us on Fridays at around 3:45. Coming up around the corner, remember the head coach, Jimmy Rogers at South Dakota State. Mitch Harper, though, covers BYU. How's the quarterback competition? He's next. This is 365 Sports. Dr. Kent Petty and PettyClinicLowT.com can help you become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, and used to be. Dr. Petty has special interest in testosterone replacement therapy for low T and currently offering immediate same-day access for lab screening to help identify those men in need. Some of the symptoms of low T: fatigue, loss of energy, poor sexual performance, ED, loss of even sexual decreased muscle mass and strength, weight gain, excess body fat, depression, moodiness, poor sleep, insomnia, poor mental focus. Go to PettyClinicLowT.com, click on the email and or phone number, and get in touch with them and tell them I sent you. Dr. Petty will then set you up to get your blood work, get the results, and if your testosterone level is too low, he can put you in a program so you can become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, used to be at PettyClinicLowT.com.
Cars priced right, day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at AllianceBankTexas.com. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student-athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports. The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoke and Paul Catalina.
I mentioned during the smokestack some of the headlines to start the show that last night Mitch Harper covers BYU for KSLSports.com caught my attention on some notes involving the quarterback play. Retzlaff and also, of course, former Baylor quarterback Gary Bohannon. He joins us, Mitch Harper, on 365 Sports. Mitch, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So where is Gary Bohannon in this competition?
He's squarely in the mix, and it's a 50-50 wide open competition. Gary Bohannon coming out of spring ball, he looked like a distant second from Jake Retzlaff. But the health of his shoulder, he got fully healthy in May. He told me earlier this week, and his health has given him an opportunity to where he's closing the gap on Jake Retzlaff, and some of the plays he showed yesterday almost make me feel like he's trending potentially as the favorite for BYU. So this is a wide open race between him and Jake Retzlaff.
What do you think would make him take over from Jake Retzlaff? What does he do that Jake doesn't?
Well, his running ability. Yesterday, that run he had about an estimated 45 yards. I kind of had a tough view on field level at BYU's practice. We got a chance to watch about 40 minutes of practice yesterday, but just that running ability. I mean, he breaks left, and even if he would have been going live to where the defenders could tackle him, he was far and away, on the distance. He was not going to be caught until late in that run. I mean, just the speed. It reminded me of, what you guys experienced when you saw him in 2021 as Baylor's quarterback, and because I remember watching that team quite a bit when BYU played in Waco, and he's a great runner. And Jake Retzlaff's more of a scrambler guy that can kind of improvise and create something, but Bohannon's athleticism stood out yesterday, and it could be a real X factor because BYU's ground attack struggled mightily last season, and Aaron Roderick, the offensive coordinator for BYU, has made it clear this whole entire calendar year they've got to establish the ground attack, and Gary Bohannon gives them a legit another number that opposing defense would have to account for, and I think that could be maybe the X factor for him to potentially win this job 3 weeks from now when they take on Southern Illinois.
That'd be a pretty amazing, not a surprise. And when he wasn't number one in the depth chart coming out of spring, it wasn't a surprise because of the fact that he was going to a new program. But he is contagious, isn't he, Mitch?
He really is. And, that leadership, it stood out. And I remember, when he left and goes to USF, and I just always thought it was noteworthy that, Dave Aranda, told him who the starter was going to be, because it was almost this respect for his leadership and who he was as a man. And Aaron Roderick wanted to get him in that 2022 portal cycle, and he ends up going to USF because BYU had Jaron Hall. But, his personality in the locker room, him and both Retzlaff and him have both are kind of carrying themselves as the leaders, the faces of the program right now. But Bohannon's leadership and, his maturity, he's a father. I mean, there's just a lot to like there with Gary Bohannon, and you're right, it is contagious, his personality.
Mitch, do you think that that the sixth-year thing also helps him out a little bit?
I think it could, and the fact that they gave him a chance to come here, and it's just, you almost wonder them reaching out BYU to bring him in, they wanted to give him a real chance. And Bohannon had no expectations, arriving at BYU. There was no, brand NIL package for him. It was just he wanted an opportunity to win the job and get a chance to play college football again, because up until about November of last year, he didn't know if football was ever going to be in the cards for him again. So this has been something that, he's been really grateful for in the whole process. And you just wonder, though, about the timeline. Does BYU, if they do go with Bohannon as QB1, and let's say in a best case scenario, he plays all 12 games, do they want to get back into the quarterback race debate in 2025? Because I think what the big argument for Retzlaff is, if he can continue to build on the experience he had last year and he starts this year, maybe you can establish something. If he can get you to a bowl game, and then 2025, you've maybe got, your QB1 as you kind of get into the guts of the Big 12 of who you're going to be in this new look league. But, I think Kalani's in a situation, and the staff, they just want to get a guy who's going to win ball games, and Bohannon is definitely someone they believe could win games, and same with Retzlaff too.
And, sometimes a guy like Gary, who has a surprising arm, sometimes look at it that way. He's a pretty big body. He can sneak. You mentioned the 45-yard run yesterday down the sideline. He's smart. As I mentioned, players around him want to play not harder for him than Retzlaff, but they want to play hard for him. But he's not a bus driver. I think he's better than that. I think sometimes we say that, like Trent Dilfer with the Buccaneers when they won a Super Bowl, or someone like that. Don't you think he's more than a bus driver?
My tune has changed. I kind of maybe fell into that perception, in spring, because I'll admit he struggled in spring, and there were a lot of shots downfield where they were underthrown passes, and you could tell that shoulder was bothering him, and I struggled to envision a scenario where he was going to be anything more than that game manager that Trent Dilfer was once, as you noted, Smoke. And so I think that, Bohannon, though, has been really productive in this offense. He made it a point of focus to really study this offense. There's a lot of similarities verbiage-wise and design plays to what he ran at Baylor in 2021, but to maybe some of the nuances and tendencies that Aaron Roderick wants out of the offense, he's kind of had to learn that. But I think he's done a nice job. Him and Retzlaff I've put BYU in a position where they can be in a position to where they're going to be a tough out week after week. I still, it's a tough schedule for BYU, and to expect and say it's a lock that they're going to get to a bowl game, that's still premature. But I think this team's going to be a tougher out this year than what they were in stretches last season, where they go to TCU and they lose by 33. They go to West Virginia and lose by 30. This is going to be a more competitive football team with either Bohannon and Retzlaff. But I think that's a positive thing for BYU, because a couple months back you felt like, man, this could be a team where, with how tough this schedule is, this could really snowball on them week after week in this league. But they're putting some pieces together with the personnel and at quarterback where there's a little bit more confidence brewing.
Mitch, I just need to tell our audience that they saw me jump out of the way. I believe a cricket crawled across my leg in the studio, and I thought I was going to die for a second. So
it was a scorpion.
Yeah, I was like, "What?" And we had one of those in here.
Yeah, we did.
So
yeah.
I'm terrified that it was that. But overall, with this BYU team, I know expectations are not very high, but how would you grade them to what you thought the team was going to be a year ago?
They're improved, and I like BYU's personnel, maybe the second and third units. I think by BYU standards of the past, from where they were, 3 years ago, is kind of a point of reference when they faced Baylor. I think they've made a lot of strides in that area, but I think the top 22 is still a question. Who are the stars on this team? Guys that are going to be household names in the Big 12 conference. Only one preseason all Big 12 pick in Tyler Batty, and I think he's going to be really good for BYU. 5.5 sacks, last season. He told me that he's got to get to double-digit sacks, and BYU hasn't had that from any player since Kalani Sitake took over as the head coach in 2016. They've got to generate a pass rush. I think they've got more options this year to do that, but they got to, kind of identify who those legit stars, who's going to be, a 3,000-yard passer, maybe a 1,000-yard running back. The best BYU teams in the past, they've always had those legit stars, and that's a big question for me when you size up this BYU team, because if you just kind of think, who's the best player on BYU's team, you probably pick Batty, but I think there's still more to be had from him. So it's a group on the top end of the roster. They've got to improve. And I think that they made a strong point of emphasis on roster retention. Their collective was able to put together, NIL packages together where they maintain this group despite the adversity they faced last season. And they almost feel like, that adversity they faced last year, going through a 5-game skid to close out the year, it's almost like an us against the world mentality they're taking on. And they've shown some positive signs, but it's a difficult schedule. And Tom Holmoe, the AD, did not do Kalani any favors with the way he structured the non-conference with 2 road games. So it's a tough slate. So BYU better be ready out of the gates because they're going to be in the thick of it when they get to week 2 with SMU.
Mitch, I know they've only been in the conference a short amount of time, but they had played against some Big 12 teams, including Baylor in 21, the year that they accepted the invitation to join the conference. When you travel or cover them on the road, is there a stadium that you have found yourself liking more than maybe not BYU, because that's hard to beat, that atmosphere, but do you have right now a favorite place yet in a short amount of time?
I really liked McLean Stadium in 2021, and not just saying that because I'm on with you guys. I really like McLean. I'm excited to be back in week 5 coming up this September. But I also like West Virginia, just kind of the drive in. I flew into Pittsburgh and seeing those hills and the mountain in the West Virginia. I thought that crowd was interject. I mean, some of the things I was hearing pregame and field level, I was like, I am not in Provo anymore. I thought West Virginia was off the charts. I love Stillwater too at the end of last season. I know there was some really bad weather in that game, but man, late in that game, that was an intense matchup. And I'm loving these Big 12 venues. And, BYU, when they were going up and down the West Coast, they'd go to venues in the Pac-12 footprint, and there was always a kind of a nastiness with those teams. For whatever reason, the Western region has just a real disdain for BYU, some of those fan bases. And whereas the Big 12, maybe there wasn't that pre-existing history with BYU. It's almost learning about the program. And it just seems like there's been not necessarily friendly, because I think BYU eventually wants to get maybe a little bit nasty and be a little bit hated, because that means they're good.
Yep.
But I just think there's just great competition. And I think that this new look 16-team Big 12 is going to be really fun. And I think the physicality of this conference on the on-field product, people on the outside that don't look at this league all the time, they don't realize how physical this conference is. I was talking with Jay Hill, BYU's defensive coordinator, and I think, he even said a couple weeks back that, some of these newcomers in the Big 12, the 4 corner schools, they're going to realize how physical this conference is. I mean, you get some of these, safeties and these 5 defensive back schemes where they could be a DM, they could be a linebacker. And this league's got some really good personnel. The fan bases are passionate. I've loved it so far. And I'm excited to cover this new era of the Big 12. So it's been a lot of fun. I can't wait to see some of these new venues this year.
All right. Good stuff, Mitch. And we will have you on again. We have a lot of great analysts that have come on to talk about BYU, Utah, whatever. But we want you in the rotation. Very good stuff. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Thank you. From KSL Sports. Now, I text Jake Hatch because you have KSL Sports Zone, you have the radio, and then you have KSL Sports, which is under the umbrella, like we have Sikkim365.com and 365 Sports. I think I'm going to add this to the end of this segment. Since I won the Texas Beef House bid, cost me, what was it, $160-something overall, right? I did that because I first of all, I was pissed off about losing.
You want to win something. You want to feel like a winner.
I won something.
It's understandable.
I did, unlike the 4x100 team. I know that was like a random comment. I just probably gave it up. Now, but I also remember, I know I saw this in the chat room when I said that I needed to win this, that everybody in the chat room was then going to pitch in and pay for my product. So Super Chat, no, I'm kidding. And I know, like, there's 5 or 6 of you that might do Super Chats just because you have a lot of money and you're good people and retired and you love me. Not about Paul and Craig or Garrett, but I do. I'm excited about that. I told you I might, depending on how it's packaged. I don't know if it's like 2 steaks in each package for 10 pounds. There's a lot of packages. I might give you a 2-pack.
That'd be wonderful.
Might.
Yeah. Listen, I know that Amanda soured you tonight because she was teasing you, and it scared you.
No. First of all, women don't scare me anymore.
Okay.
I'm at that point in my life where they can't.
She... people are going to know this, but twice a year she has a very important role in things that we do. We need her help, especially in college or in high school football season. She really helps me organize what can be very chaotic.
No, it is. I take all my mess and I shift it over to you for you to have the mess.
And so then I do it, and it's the only thing I have to do with high school football now. But the other night, you were very generous and got me a bottle of Balcones, which I will crack open this weekend. And then you got her a lovely bottle of rosé. And she sent you, thank you for the rosé. I don't know what it's for because I'm not helping this year. I'm retired.
Yeah.
And Smokey and I were both in unison, the hell you are.
No.
We can't do this without someone that is organized. We need you to go, okay.
Yeah, we need her to organize all of the chaos like she does the kitchen, which doesn't mean she needs to be in the kitchen. I'm not saying that, but organize and clean the kitchen, which is spotless. Now, I went to a dinner last night after I don't do that. You guys know that.
Yeah.
Like I went to Texas Beef House with some of you, a couple of years ago, just to kind of.
the Roadhouse.
Yeah. And Craig and I on occasion, but not very often. I don't do that. I'm one of those, goes home. I usually have something I've cooked, and 2 days later, leftovers, whatever. I might pick up something. But there was this, all the golfers that are in the group we have at Bear Ridge. So David Gonzalez and his family that owns El Conquistador, they have a location on MLK, also on Waco Drive, and then they have one location in Hillsboro. But they hosted all the golfers, and there were 4 or 5 guys that pitched it a little bit more than others. And what I loved about it was the camaraderie, but you know what I realized? All the guys I played golf with, because there were wives there. Like there was Glenn and Randy and me, and there was a couple other guys, their wives weren't there. And there's some of us who are, that's not in our system. And I realized, I thought all these guys, some of them are CEOs, attorneys, former coaches, none of them are decision makers.
Oh, no.
I got to meet all the decision makers.
Yeah.
And when I said, hey, man, and all of them, by the way, want their husbands to play golf and get the hell out of their way and out of the house.
Yeah. This is what I found out when I got engaged, is that I don't have to make decisions anymore. But sometimes she'll say, well, I need you to make a decision. And my brain's like, really?
Yeah.
Like, this is up to me?
And is she fooling? Is she actually
I know, like
a spider web?
I feel like it's a trick. Mm-hmm. And I'll even say, like, is this a trick? Yeah. Okay. And so, and most of the time it's not. But I am wary of the time that it is. Like, I'm on alert. But when I get to make those decisions, it does. It's maybe like she notices my self-esteem is taking a hit. And she's like, you know what? I'll let him pick the restaurant.
Throw you a bone.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It has, I know this is like an old man, which I'm in that category. I don't know what 65 now was 25 years ago. Because, like, when my dad was in his 60s, I was like, damn, he's in his 60s. But you know how old people do with 3 or 4 things. Mm-hmm. One, some of them still have a regular rotary phone. Some of them have a flip phone. And I'm not making fun of you. Some still get the newspaper subscription. And some watch the Weather Channel all damn day. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know this sounds like I'm in that category now. It rained, and it's August, and it doesn't do that in Texas.
It might start now.
It did a lot, remember, in the spring, rained like deluge.
Yeah.
But it rained a couple of times in July, like 3 to 5 times in July. We could go 50 days sometimes. But it's a beautiful rain, which means tomorrow when I play golf, the course is going to be even better and more special. The fairways will be lush and the greens. We got to take a break because coming up next, Jimmy Rogers, the head coach at South Dakota State, 2-time national champions. He's next. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Ted Teague, the CEO, and also general manager of the store that's on the Loop 340 and east of 84 in Waco. Right now, they continue to have great discounts as they continue to make this the summer event at Alan Samuels. Discounts on Ram trucks, a big push needed for August so they can clear those out and work on what they're going to do in September. They had a deal, and I don't know if this is still on, but it gives you an idea. 2024 Ram 1500 limited crew cab, you could save nearly $14,000. One of the last Ram premium models, 1500 crew cab, 5.7 Hemi and V8 engine, that was also available at a discounted price. And the 2024 Ram 2500 crew cab tradesman work truck, that at one point just a week or two ago was less than $50,000. Now, I don't know if all of those deals are there, but that's the kind of deal you can get at Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop, 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely, and I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
Bambi SQ, what is the number one reason or two or three reasons, Bambi, that people should contact House of Travel?
As a travel agency local here in Waco, we can take care of all your bookings, your payments, answer your questions, help you when there are issues or problems, things that may come up that you don't know what to do or how to fix them. People don't realize we don't charge a fee for what we do. It doesn't cost you extra to use a travel agent. We're just here. We get paid by the tour companies and the cruise lines to represent them. But you have an expert on your side that's here and local, and you have a name and a face to put together to help you with anything that you may need. Give us a call. We can price things for you. We can help you answer questions. We can make it simple, easy, and one stop.
Your knowledge of all the years you've done this and then spit it back to them or give them options?
It helps us to kind of know a date range, a budget, what your goals are and what you want to see and do on your vacation. And then that helps us to know what to look for, and we can narrow down and help you make the best choices for your vacation so you get the best value, you get exactly what you were hoping for, and making sure that it's taken care of with a carefree, easy, simple for you type vacation. I've been doing this for over 40 years. Every day I learn something new. I experience new situations and things that I can help take care of for people, whether it's just making sure you get the best deals and find the best vacations, or whether it's to solve that problem, like you've got a flight that's being canceled and don't know what to do. There's weather coming up, but should I cancel my trip next week because of the hurricane? Those are things that we take care of and you don't have to worry about. You've got somebody that you can rely on that you know is an expert, knows what we're doing, have been doing this for a long time, so that you're not questioning, okay, does the person on the other end of the phone really understand what I'm asking or know how to find those deals? You've got an expert, and we are here to take care of that.
For more information, go to houseoftravelwaco.com.
This is 365 Sports.
The Sikkim 365 app is brought to you by Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
365 Sports. If you don't want to have a spoiler alert or you don't want to hear this, then close your ears. 3, 2, 1. I mentioned the 4x100 cluster blank. They didn't even get from the first handoff to the second without a mistake, and they were disqualified today. It's like the umpteenth Olympics in a row that the American team, U.S. team, with all the best 100-meter guys, although Jamaica, others have a really good run too. Canada, I think, may have won it. 4x100, they didn't even get the first pass off of the baton without it being a mess. The women's 4x100, Sha'Carri Richardson closed it out. Even at the last 10 meters or so, kind of glanced over to who was second, won the 4x100 meter gold medal. And there we are with this. 365 Sports, Garrett Ross running the mothership, Paul Catalina with us on 365 Sports. We're having an trying to get something. Are we live? I just want to make sure, okay, because I see nothing but the commercial running in the background. Barry, I hear you, but no video. So we're working on that, on what we're going to do. You want to break again? Okay, we're going to do that. We'll break. Give us some time. Be some patience. We'll have Jimmy Rogers, and I'll get in touch with him too. This is 365 Sports.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for
Old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
Bambi SQ, what is the number one reason or two or three reasons, Bambi, that people should contact House of Travel?
As a travel agency local here in Waco, we can take care of all your bookings, your payments, answer your questions, help you when there are issues or problems, things that may come up that you don't know what to do or how to fix them. People don't realize we don't charge a fee for what we do. It doesn't cost you extra to use a travel agent. We're just here. We get paid by the tour companies and the cruise lines to represent them. But you have an expert on your side that's here and local, and you have a name and a face to put together to help you with anything that you may need. Give us a call. We can price things for you. We can help you answer questions. We can make it simple, easy, and one stop.
Your knowledge of all the years you've done this and then spit it back to them or give them options?
It helps us to kind of know a date range, a budget, what your goals are and what you want to see and do on your vacation. And then that helps us to know what to look for, and we can narrow down and help you make the best choices for your vacation so you get the best value, you get exactly what you were hoping for, and making sure that it's taken care of with a carefree, easy, simple for you type vacation. I've been doing this for over 40 years.